You are listening to Hex, The Fall of Aethria, a Galleria Editagio production. Our story continues with Chapter 7. A rustle in the bushes precedes a gaggle of Midja soldiers. They emerge with emberish steel swords trained on the Moorians. Saeed scans the perimeter, counting 20 on the ground and 2 more perched in the trees, arrows notched and ready. Panic rises in his chest as he looks at his struggling daughter, then to Layla. Her hand is frozen, poised to draw her own arrow the moment he gives the word. Saeed shakes his head, and Layla lets her hand fall to her side.
Good.
The general says.
Now kneel.
Saeed does not waver, and the men behind him follow his lead. Impatience flickers across the general's face. He snaps his fingers. In response, the soldier tightens his hold on Yanara, the cold steel of a blade pressing against her skin. She gasps as the metal bites, releasing a small drop of blood that trails down her neck.
Wait, stop!
Saeed shouts. With the flick of his wrist, the general signals the soldier to pause. The blade remains ready. Yanara furiously shakes her head, eyes widened. Saeed averts his gaze.
Kneel,
the general repeats through gritted teeth. The Moorians look over to Saeed, only reluctantly dropping to the dirt once he does. The general cracks a wicked smile. As his lips curl upward, Saeed can see the tiny glimmer of a golden tooth.
Good choice.
The general croons.
Apprehend them.
The Midja move in, roughly binding the wrists of every Moorian. Once again, Saeed finds the side of his face pressed into the muddy ground. His anger burns in his chest like acid, but he swallows and buries it deep. Only the safety of his children matters to him now. On the general's command, the soldier pushes Yanara to the ground. She lands with a thud in front of Layla, struggling against her ropes. The general dismounts from his rhino, studying the group before his eyes settle on Layla. He slowly looks her up and down. She shifts under the scrutiny, heat rising under her skin.
Are you their hostage, girl?
He asks.
Do not speak to her.
Saeed starts. The soldier kicks him in his stomach, instantly reducing him to nothing but coughs. Terror sweeps across Layla's face as the general forces her by the chin to meet his eyes.
I will not ask twice,
he warns. I am not a hostage, Layla finally answers, her voice trembling. I am a daughter of the sun. The general blinks for a moment, his expression completely blank. But slowly, his face begins to shrink into itself. His lips peel back once more, his gold tooth now on full display. A low whirring sound emits from the back of his throat. For a moment, Layla wonders if the man is choking. But soon the whirring sound grows higher in pitch as the general throws his head back. A similar sound then spreads through the rest of the soldiers. Her cheeks burn. These men are laughing at her.
If you are truly Moorian, then I am one of the gods.
The general sneers.
And am I to believe this rescue was your idea? Speak!
Yanara attempts to crawl toward the general's feet, trying to draw his gaze away from her sister. No, she wheezes. It was mine. Yes, Layla interrupts. The idea was mine.
And you carried this out knowing the consequences.
Layla doesn't answer. She only gives a meek nod and braces herself. She knew this was a possibility. She had mentally prepared for this. The general sighs as if disappointed. He stands and unsheaths his sword. The ring of metal causes Layla to wince. As he raises his weapon, Layla lowers her eyes to the ground.
Won't you face your punishment, young changeling?
Layla blinks back her welling tears and looks up. One last outward show of bravery. Inward, however, she struggles to steady her heartbeat. Now confronted with her own mortality, she wonders who will be there to claim her soul. Will it be Mura, the goddess she had been raised to follow her whole life, or Finigas, the god to whom she was born? Or perhaps her sister was right. Perhaps, despite her best intentions, this entire rescue attempt was a cardinal sin. The ultimate black mark for which her soul would be turned away and left to wander the corporeal realm, godless and invisible. The general swings. Layla flinches, eyes squeezing shut as she waits for the strike. but the blow intended for her never lands. Instead, the heavy sound of a blade meeting its mark echoes through the clearing, followed by a sharp, collective gasp from the Moorians. A scream ripples through the air, scaring any lingering birds into the night sky. She opens her eyes to find a scene of absolute devastation. The air is thick with the weight of what has just transpired. She follows the horrified gazes of her companions to where her father now lies, fallen and still. His severed head slowly rolls, stopping at the general's foot. Her heart now pounds in her ears. No clear emotion takes hold of her body. The shock is too great. She just looks down at her father's detached head with a cold, numb expression on her face. Riemi sits frozen, his expression one of pure shock. Lila sucks in a long, staggered breath, only now remembering she hasn't breathed in a full minute. The air, however, struggles against the pounding of her heart. It is then she realizes she cannot breathe at all. The general calmly sheathes his sword.
Take the rest of the males back to the camp,
He says, walking back to his rhino.
Have your fun with the 2 girls, but make sure they are dead by sunrise.
The soldiers move with cold efficiency, pulling the Moorian men to their feet by their tightly binded wrists. Others begin to circle Laila and Yunara, eyes filled with hunger. One soldier swiftly kicks Yunara in the stomach, knocking what air she was able to find right back out. Another pulls her up to her knees by her hair. Laila squirms at their slimy touch, her internal anguish twisting into a rising heat. Her skin begins to burn more intensely. She can't breathe. The volcano must have its release. A piercing, otherworldly scream escapes her throat, bringing all movement to a sudden, jarring halt. The soldiers and Moorians alike freeze, their eyes fixed on Laila as she cries out into the night sky. The ground beneath them shudders. As she lets out a second, more guttural cry, waves of heat and flame surge from where she sits, spreading rapidly across the grass. The trees ignite, and the sudden roar of fire panics the horses and the rhinos. Chaos erupts as the general and the other soldiers struggle to control their steeds. Arrows pierce the smoke-filled air, intended to stop her before the devastation spreads. One shaft strikes her left shoulder. She screams in pain, but the outburst only intensifies the inferno. The ropes binding her wrists turn to ash. A soldier attempts to tackle her. The sheer heat radiating from her skin forces him back. Amidst the smoke, Riemi seizes a fallen blade and works quickly to saw through his own bindings. The Midja scramble to escape the growing wall of flames. The general, shaken by the display of power, quickly flees back toward their camp, abandoning his men. Riemi finally cuts himself loose and crawls through the heat toward Yunara. He carefully slices the rope from her neck and helps her as she gasps for air. She gestures urgently toward the other boys, and Riemi moves through the haze to free those he can reach. The scene is devastating. The chaos of the fire and the previous conflict has left many of their people fallen. Riemi cuts loose those who show signs of movement and moves on from those who are already lost. He finds Iskali struggling against the encroaching flames and quickly helps him to safety, cutting his friend's hands free.
She's going to burn the whole godswood if we don't do something,
Iskali shouts over the roar of the fire. Riemi turns to his sister. No Midja remain, yet Laila's fires continue to rage. He tries to step toward her, but the heat is overwhelming.
Laila, stop, please.
He cries out to his sister, but she does not hear him. She is lost in her own trance of grief and power. Riemi pulls his sleeve over his mouth, trying to find a way to reach her without being overcome by the heat. Suddenly, Iskali appears from the smoke with a large fallen branch. With a swift motion, he strikes Laila, knocking her unconscious. As she falls to the ground, the fires immediately begin to subside, leaving the woods in a heavy, smoldering silence. Riemi falls to his knees to check on his sister, glaring up at his friend.
There were other ways to stop her, but none as quick,
Iskali sullenly replies. He turns to help the remaining survivors to their feet. It is apparent that none of the adult men survived the skirmish. The older boys keep their eyes trained on their own feet in an attempt to not see the charred carcasses surrounding them. The little boys, however, cannot help but look around. their small bodies trembling at the sight. Everyone had known Lila's powers could be dangerous, but this was their first time truly seeing how dangerous those powers actually were. Riemi gently lifts his younger sister into his arms. He struggles slightly under her dead weight. Yanara rushes over to them, looking down at Lila's face. Aside from a mark where the branch struck her, she appears peaceful. She then scans the wreckage for any sign of their father's body.
Come,
Riemi says quietly.
he's gone. We must go.
He begins to walk, Iskali ushering the younger boys closely behind. Iskali falls into step beside Yanara, noticing the wound on her neck. The small gash flares bright red against her olive skin. He reaches out and attempts to rub his thumb against it, but Yanara quickly swats his hand away. Ow!
Is the injury deep?
No, Yanara says softly. But the pain is constant. Together, the survivors start back toward the Moorian camp, disappearing into the darkness under the cold glow of the moon. We have reached our conclusion for today's chapter, but our story is far from over. If you have enjoyed your time in the realm, be sure to subscribe so that you never miss your summons when a new chapter arrives. For those who would look beyond the next horizon, the tale continues on Substack. The chapters yet to be recorded are already waiting there, should you wish to journey ahead. It is our hope to spread this tale to travelers far and wide, so if you know someone who might enjoy the journey, we invite you to bring them along. And until next time, remember, the true danger of power lies not in who holds it, but how they wield it.